Trump's backdoor to privatize Social Security? Scott Bessent's shocking admission. Imagine waking up to the news that one comment could shake the entire foundation of America's retirement system. That's exactly what happened when Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent appeared to admit that a new program signed into law by former President Donald Trump might be a backdoor to privatizing Social Security, a possibility that has ignited fierce debate for years. But here's where it gets controversial. Is this really the beginning of the end for Social Security as we know it, or simply an attempt to give Americans more control over their financial futures? Let's break down what happened. On Wednesday, just hours after Bessent described the Trump administration's Children's Savings Plan as a backdoor for privatizing Social Security, he issued another statement attempting to reassure the public. Bessent insisted that the new accounts, created by Trump's tax reform and spending cut legislation, are meant to supplement the sanctity of Social Security's guaranteed payments. In his words, this isn't an either-or proposition. Our administration is dedicated to protecting Social Security and ensuring seniors enjoy greater financial security. The twist? Bessent's original remarks, made during a live forum hosted by Breitbart News, stood in stark contrast to President Trump's repeated promises not to change or threaten Social Security. Ever since his campaign days, Trump has emphasized that he would leave the treasured program untouched, a stance that helped him with older voters and has haunted Republican leaders ever since the idea of privatization first erupted decades ago. Yet now, with Bessent's candid admission on record, Democrats are pouncing. Calling it a stunning admission, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer charged that Bessent let slip the truth, that Trump and the GOP want to privatize Social Security. In Washington, this set off alarm bells, especially since many Americans depend on Social Security's guaranteed monthly benefits to stay afloat in retirement. Would privatization mean handing those guarantees over to the uncertainties of private markets? For context, here's how privatization would work. Instead of the government managing the bulk of retirement savings, Americans would steer their own investments, possibly through accounts like the newly introduced Trump accounts. These Trump accounts, part of the GOP's legislation dubbed the Big Beautiful Bill, allow newborns to receive an initial $1,000 deposit from the Treasury. Similar in spirit to IRAs, these accounts would let families contribute up to $5,000 a year after taxes, potentially providing a nest egg for adulthood. The idea is that over time, these accounts could grow significantly, supplementing, if not eventually supplanting, traditional Social Security. And this is the part most people miss. Shifting the responsibility from retirement savings from the government to individuals brings both opportunity and risk. On the one hand, savers might see higher returns in the stock market that outpaces government bonds. On the other, market crashes could wipe out years of careful saving, leaving seniors vulnerable. Which side do you think offers real security in retirement? The Treasury Department has tried to clarify its intentions. Officials describe Trump accounts as a government benefit meant to broaden and enhance the savings and wealth of Americans, not replace Social Security. Officially, Social Security is a vital safety net and will remain so. But for many, memories are fresh of previous Republican efforts to privatize Social Security, most notably under President George W. Bush, when the initiative sparked voter backlash and was quickly shelved. Historically, moves to change Social Security have cost politicians dearly, as seen in the 2006 midterm elections, when Democrats won back Congress by warning of Republican plans to undermine the program. This is why Bessent's comment is grabbing so much attention. Democrats are sounding the alarm that the new accounts represent a quiet attempt to hollow out Social Security. Trump's Treasury Secretary just said the quiet part out loud. This administration is plotting to privatize Social Security, said Democratic National Committee spokesman Tim Hogan. He even suggested, first, they tried to take away health care and food assistance. Now they're coming for seniors with a backdoor scheme to undermine hard-earned benefits. It's worth noting that Social Security's financial future has been uncertain for decades. According to the latest report from program trustees, the trust funds supporting retirees and the disabled may run short of money as soon as 2034. Everyone agrees the program faces real challenges, but making changes is politically toxic. Still, Trump has repeatedly promised to protect Social Security, reassuring voters that only his opponents would threaten the program. During the 2024 campaign, he stated emphatically that Social Security was off limits and criticized others in his party for supporting retirement age increases. Even Washington officials seem flummoxed by the notion of privatization. Social Security Commissioner Frank Bisignano, during his recent confirmation hearing, claimed he had never heard a word about it and never thought about it. So where does this leave us? Is introducing children's savings accounts really the first step in a broader push to shift the burden of retirement onto individuals? Or is it simply an extra layer of security in a world where government safety nets face uncertain futures? Will Americans end up with more choices or more risk? Here's the question that could split the room. Should Social Security remain fully government managed, or is it time to trust individuals to manage their own retirements, even if it means taking on new risks? What do you think? Is this reform long overdue, or a dangerous gamble with people's livelihoods? Let us know your thoughts and join the debate in the comments below. Trump's newborn savings accounts, a threat to Social Security? Imagine a world where the very foundation of Social Security is at risk. This is the concern raised by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent regarding the newly introduced savings accounts for newborns, a feature of President Donald Trump's sweeping tax and immigration legislation. Bessent boldly claims that these accounts serve as a backdoor for privatizing Social Security. These so-called Trump accounts, which were established under the One Big Beautiful Bill, provide each newborn with a $1,000 savings account that can be invested with tax-deferred benefits. Families or even employers have the option to contribute up to $5,000 annually to these accounts until the child reaches the age of 18. This initiative has quickly become one of the more popular aspects of the legislation, which Trump signed into law on July 4th. And it draws inspiration from proposals that have been floated by Democrats for many years. During a recent event hosted by the conservative news outlet Breitbart, Bessent expressed optimism about the potential of these accounts to enhance economic prospects for children. He emphasized that the Treasury Department plans to leverage these accounts to foster financial literacy among young individuals. He compared the process of learning about wise investment strategies to a child learning to care for a pet, highlighting the importance of responsibility. Bessent further elaborated that if individuals allow their accounts to grow over several decades, benefiting from the power of compound interest, these accounts could effectively replace Social Security. This would enable beneficiaries to accumulate substantial savings that enjoy tax advantages. At the end of the day, I'm uncertain about when the distribution date should be. Should it be at 30, when one might buy a house, or at 60? But in essence, it does serve as a backdoor for privatizing Social Security, Bessent remarked. He pointed out that Social Security operates as a defined benefit plan, and if these accounts flourish, leading to hundreds of thousands of dollars saved for retirement, it could fundamentally alter the landscape. In response to Bessent's comments, a Treasury spokesperson clarified that the Trump accounts are intended to be an additive government program that, alongside Social Security benefits, aims to broaden and increase the savings and wealth of Americans. They emphasize that Social Security remains a vital safety net for citizens and will continue to be so. The spokesperson, who requested anonymity due to departmental policy, noted that the administration is committed to advocating for both seniors and future generations. Social Security benefits are primarily funded through payroll taxes. However, as the number of retirees continues to surge, there is growing concern that workers and employers are not contributing enough to sustain the trust fund that supports future benefits. Projections from the program's trustees indicate that without significant reforms from Congress, the trust fund could face insolvency by 2033, potentially leading to a 23% reduction in benefits. These alarming figures do not take into account the implications of Trump's significant tax legislation. According to the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, a nonpartisan think tank, a bonus to the standard deduction for seniors could accelerate the insolvency timeline to as early as 2032. Howard Gleckman, a senior fellow at the Urban Brookings Tax Policy Center, expressed concern, stating, on one hand, what they are doing is making Social Security less solvent and a riskier proposition for people. On the other hand, the Treasury Secretary seems to be contemplating the idea of initiating the privatization of the system. Historically, previous Republican administrations have explored the idea of privatizing Social Security. For instance, President George W. Bush proposed a plan to partially privatize the program through individual private investment accounts. However, this idea faced significant backlash and contributed to substantial losses for Republicans in the 2006 midterm elections, resulting in Democrats gaining control of both houses of Congress and effectively halting Bush's legislative agenda. In light of Bessent's remarks, Representative Richard E. Neal, the leading Democrat on the tax-writing Ways and Means Committee, stated, "Today the Treasury Secretary said the quiet part out loud. Republicans' ultimate goal is to privatize Social Security, and there isn't a backdoor they won't try to make Wall Street's dream a reality." For everyone else, though, it's yet another warning sign that they cannot be trusted to safeguard the program millions rely on and have contributed to throughout their working lives. What do you think about the implications of these newborn savings accounts? Are they a step towards a more secure financial future for our children, or do they pose a threat to the Social Security system that so many depend on? Share your thoughts in the comments. Trump's plan to privatize Social Security, what you need to know. Social Security on the brink. New Trump accounts ignite fierce debate. Is Social Security quietly being put on the chopping block? That's the explosive claim rocking Washington after Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's candid remarks about the newly introduced Trump accounts, a move that sent shockwaves through both political parties. And here's the twist most people overlook. This isn't just about retirement. It's about reshaping how Americans save and invest from birth. But is it a bold leap forward or a hidden threat to a sacred safety net? Here's what's happening. At a recent Breitbart policy forum, Bessent discussed a sweeping Republican-backed law that establishes so-called Trump accounts. Under this new policy, every American child born between 2025 and 2028 will receive a $1,000 deposit from the federal government into a tax-advantaged investment account. On top of that, parents and others can contribute up to $5,000 per year. The ultimate purpose? To help the next generation afford college, buy homes, or even start their own businesses. Sounds like a win-win, right? Or is it? But here's where it gets controversial. Bessent acknowledged that these accounts could do far more than just help with big expenses. He pointed out that over time, these investments might grow substantially, giving individuals a massive retirement fund. Then, in a statement that immediately became political dynamite, he suggested the accounts act as a backdoor for privatizing Social Security. For decades, Social Security has been a pillar of retirement stability, a guaranteed income, not subject to market ups and downs. The mere suggestion of privatizing even a part of it sets off alarm bells among millions who've spent decades paying into the system, expecting it to be there when they retire. Democrats wasted no time pouncing. Tim Hogan, a senior strategist for the Democratic National Committee, accused the Trump administration of trying to quietly undermine Social Security, saying, "Trump is now coming after American seniors with a backdoor scam to take away the benefits they earned." The battle lines deepen. Massachusetts Congressman Richard Neal argued that introducing private investment into retirement planning only serves to line the pockets of Wall Street. Warning, Republicans underlined. Ultimate goal is to privatize Social Security, and there isn't a backdoor they won't try to make Wall Street's dream a reality. For everyone else, though, it's yet another warning sign that they cannot be trusted to safeguard the program millions rely on and have paid into over a lifetime of work. Bessent later tried to clarify his remarks on social media, arguing that these new accounts are meant to supplement, not replace, Social Security's guaranteed payments. This is not an either-or question. Our administration is committed to protecting Social Security and to making sure seniors have more money, he reassured the public. The official Treasury statement echoed this sentiment, asserting that Social Security is a critical safety net for Americans and always will be. According to them, Trump accounts are just another tool to boost savings and financial security. Let's not forget, this isn't the first GOP attempt to steer retirement savings into private ventures. Back in 2005, President George W. Bush led a similar charge to establish private Social Security accounts. The idea quickly fizzled amid bipartisan backlash, a sign of just how charged this debate remains. Bessent also took his argument a step further, claiming these accounts could nurture a new sense of ownership and engagement in the broader economy, especially among those who feel alienated from the current system. He referenced New York Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani's surprising electoral success as a sign of widespread disillusionment, saying, "When you do this, you make everyone a shareholder. People who are part of the system do not want to bring down the system." And this is the part most people miss. Could broadening investment opportunities and turning every American child into a potential investor actually strengthen the fabric of society? Or could it sow the seeds of inequality if markets underperform? Now, here's the million-dollar question. Is this new program truly empowering future generations? Or does it subtly undermine the very foundation of Social Security? Are we opening the door to Wall Street at the expense of retirement security, or simply giving young Americans a brighter financial start? Where do you fall in this debate? Do you see the Trump accounts as a positive, forward-looking reform, or a slippery slope toward privatizing a program millions depend on? Let your voice be heard. Post your thoughts and challenge the conversation in the comments.